Welcome to another episode of Ruff Talk VR, a weekly podcast with in-depth game reviews, exclusive developer interviews, and the latest MetaQuest and virtual reality news. We join our hosts, the father-son team of D. Scruffles and Stratus today, as they spend another episode breaking down and discussing the world of virtual reality.
Hey, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're joined with another real fun one. I'm hyped for this one. We're joined with Celine Tricart. She's the co-creator and the game director of Masters of Light, a new hand-tracking fitness game that we hopped into.
Yeah, dude, I had a blast.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And from what I understand, she's quite the character as well. She has quite the background, both in gaming, but just from what I was reading, quite extensive in a wide variety of things. So, Celine, do you mind to introduce yourself a little bit more for the listeners? Tell them a little bit about who you are and also what exactly Masters of Light is.
Sure thing. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Super happy to have the opportunity to talk about the game and, of course, myself. So I'm originally from France. My name is Celine. I live in Los Angeles. And originally, I come from the film industry. So I was very involved in film for many years. That's the reason why I moved to LA from France. I worked on movies such as Transformers or Westworld. I was part of the camera department, so operating and maintaining cameras on sets. And from the film industry, I transitioned to virtual reality when back in the Oculus DK1 days. When I tried it, I was like, okay, this is finally here. We knew VR was right around the corner, because I was also an expert in the 3D technology in film. You know, when you put glasses on and you see in 3D, and we knew the VR was right around the corner. And so the minute I tried the DK1, I was like, yeah, okay, now it's here. It's ready. Let's go. And so I started filming 360 degrees video. And back in those days, it was very much like gaffer taping cameras together in a circle. You know, there was no software to stitch. So we were manually doing things, and it was really crazy. So I filmed documentaries and storytelling in 360. I made a 360 video called The Sun Ladies, where I went to Iraq during the war to film. It was a documentary about a group of women that were fighting against ISIS. And that very much changed my life in a lot of different reasons. And that led to making interactive game engine-based virtual reality experience called Fightback. And Fightback is available for free, and it was basically an introduction to self-defense. And that's the very first time I used hand tracking in a VR experience. That was released a couple of years ago, and we were so happy with the hand tracking and how things were working, even though it was definitely not as good as what we achieved with Masters of Light. But it was still very promising, and so that's when we're like, hey, I think there's something there. There's something really interesting. What if we extend on this technology and the basic mechanics that we've built in Fightback and make an actual video game, a real game? Because Fightback is more of a social good experience that's about half an hour long. And so let's do a 3 to 5 hour long real video game. And I've been a gamer my entire life. I've been gaming and LARPing and all of the nerdy things you can think of. I'm doing it. The most ultimate nerd that you can think of. And it was a dream come true for me to actually transition to video game. Just something I've always had a back of my mind, but never felt I was ready for, because I've never been to school for game design. You know, it's like this kind of thing, you think you're not able to do those things because you haven't been trained for. But with my background in film and VR, etc., we were actually able to pitch the game to a few people and get it going. And here we go. 2024, Masters of Light is released, and it's my first video game, and I'm very proud of it. I mean, it was just not me. It was a team of very, very talented people working really hard to get this game to where it is today.
Well, after hearing the film background, it's making sense with the environment and some of the detail to it. So, no, it's making a lot of sense. I So can I backtrack for a second? Did you physically go to Iraq during the war?
Yeah. I went
Wow.
twice actually, but the first time was during the Battle of West Mosul. So it was pretty hardcore and it's extremely scary. It was my first time in a war zone. I've traveled a lot in my life, but never to a war zone before. And I was absolutely terrified, as you might think. But the story of these women who originally were captured by ISIS and sold as sex slaves, eventually freed themselves or got liberated and decided to join the army and fight against ISIS to liberate their sisters. And that story was so close to my heart that when I had the opportunity to go and meet those women and be with them, I decided to go, even though it was dangerous. It was just incredible.
Well, now I definitely want to see.
Yeah, is that film still viewable?
Actually, yes, it's on Oculus. I don't know how it's called now. It used to be Oculus TV, but then they changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I think
yes,
it's Meta TV now.
Probably, whatever. But yeah, it's out there. I'll make sure to send you guys a link.
Definitely. I definitely want to see it. And I think it's amazing that I don't even know how you would catch wind of the story but that is like some hardcore journalist type drive and motivation above and beyond just wanting to film. And you did mention it changed your life. So that's pretty incredible.
It was a team of 3 people, my co-director and a producer. They were both war journalists. So it was their like 26th time in Iraq. But that was my very first. So I was like, guys, I'm going to trust you guys to keep me alive and I'll do my work of like talking to these women and filming them. But yeah, it was very intense.
Well, making games will never be to that level of danger, I'm sure, as a game designer.
No, I
hope not.
Is there any part of you that misses the film industry, or is gaming, making games that's your new passion?
In a way, I do miss it, but I think the video game, the language of telling a story through video game, and it can be a very light story, like in Masters of Light, it's very light. It's first and foremost an action, fighting, fitness game, however you want to define it. But I love when people take an active part in participating in the world I'm creating. And film being a more passive experience is something that I still very much enjoy, but it's just 2 very different things. So I believe there is a lot of great stories out there and they all have a different medium that is best to tell that specific story. For the women in Iraq, the Sun Ladies, I truly believe that the 360 format was the best because you are with them, you look at them straight in the eyes, they look at you, and you feel present, you feel there because that's the power of VR. And that was the best medium to tell that story. But maybe the next story I want to tell, maybe a movie will be the best medium for it. So it depends.
I was like, there could be some good VR movies coming from you as well. Not to get too personal with the ladies you met in Iraq, but are you still able to keep in touch with any of them?
I actually went back. So we went in 2017. And we went back in 2019, so 2 years later, and I brought with me VR headsets. So that the war was over. So some of those women went back to their families, or actually went to a different country as refugees. But I was able to locate the captain of that unit and a few of the women that I've met during the war and show them it was the first time they were obviously trying a VR headset, and on top of that they were watching themselves. And it was an incredible moment. It was lovely. They were very proud, and that made me very happy.
I can't even fathom how rewarding it must be to do what you've done. And I'm not trying to digress from the main focus of what we should be talking about, but I think you doing that is absolutely ginormous.
Well, it's a big part of how we got to Celine.
How we got here,
2024. Yeah. That sounds like some powerful stuff
that's heavy.
Encounter.
That's yeah, dude. I don't care who you are. That's going to change your life, especially hearing stories from people firsthand. My brain would melt.
And huge props to you for being kind of an early supporter of hand tracking. I even think to when we first got our Quest 2, it was not to the level you even in the best lit environment, your hand would be
with a white glove
would be be shaking. Now it's stable enough for experiences like Masters of Light. And, to fast forward along the journey after the film side, you decide to start making, full-fledged games. How'd the idea of Masters of Light come to be? A hand tracking, fitness, it's kind of a hard to define game.
I wouldn't be able to label it one genre of game.
It's its own thing. But how did the idea for that come to be?
Yeah, so that came from that VR app called Fightback. So having met the Sun Ladies, and I kind of had that, not awakening, that's a big notion, but I was like, I suddenly realized how physical empowerment can truly make people feel better about themselves and that their confidence. And for the women in Iraq, I could see that they were healing from trauma much faster and much better than the women I met in refugee camps, for example. And so I've always been a martial artist. I'm a black belt, but after meeting the Sun Ladies, I decided to also become an instructor in self-defense, empowerment self-defense, we call it. It's a wider self-defense approach than just punches and kicks. And it's just how to see red flags, how to establish boundaries, how to get away from bad situation. So it's very much for everyone. You don't need any special skills or any kind of athleticism or body to be able to use it. And when I saw the benefit it had, especially on women, but really everyone, I decided to make a VR app to continue on that work. So the Fightback is very much a training in disguise, an introduction to empowerment self-defense, but without saying so people won't get freaked out. So you just follow a story and you use those basic gesture of hand tracking to defend yourself against those weird entities that attack you. And at the very end of Fightback, about half an hour, it is revealed that those gestures that you've been learning using hand tracking are actual gesture of self-defense, and that by practicing them in the game, you've built muscle memory for it, and hopefully this can one day save your life. And we encourage people to continue their training. And so that was the very first step towards what became Masters of Light, where Masters of Light is not so much a social good app. It's very much a game, but we still wanted people to feel good about themselves. So when we started working on the game, with my colleague Marie, who is the co-founder of the Coven studio, but also our game designer Maël, we first and foremost, we decided to decide what the pillars for the game were going to be. So like 3 main ideas that will drive everything we do for the game. Could be art, could be game mechanics, could be everything we build for the game have to fit within those 3 pillars. And so that's when we decided that there was going to be beauty, because it's very important that people feel amazed by the world that we're building, that they feel good within it, that they look around and they say, wow, it's gorgeous here. I want to stay in there. It's cool. Right. And also fun, because we wanted people to have a big smile on their face and not feel. So the whole way we designed game over and retry, and like how those little voices are trying to help you, the VO is trying to help you and making you feel good about yourself. None of this is designed to create negative feeling. We're trying as best for our players to have positive feeling, because our last pillar and the most important one was confidence. So we wanted people to feel badass. We wanted people to feel good about themselves, like feel like superheroes, and like visualize the power that they have within themselves, making those gestures and seeing the effect it has on the environment and the enemies attacking them.
And you are a very, very caring human being.
I'm in games. I don't cure cancer.
You say that. No, but I mean, one could argue like a lot of positive energy, a lot of, joy in life and all that leads to a healthier human body, I'll say, but I mean, I think you're taking for granted. I mean, you're making a game that is far more deeper than on the surface of what you're seeing, whether it be like learning self-defense motions that you didn't even know you were learning, or gaining the confidence as you're getting better at playing. But I'm thinking of when we're playing it, and it's like, I do feel good.
Mhm.
I'm actually having a lot of fun, especially I find it to be a little more challenging than I thought. After the tutorial, I think it was, I was like, oh, okay, we're turning on a light switch. We're going for it,
Yes.
But yeah, so far the experience, and I love the visuals. I really enjoy
Mhm.
I feel good.
Yeah,
Especially
it's a good time. So for my own curiosity too, what martial arts have you practiced?
Oh, a lot of them. So I started with Kung Fu when I was a teenager. So I did a lot of Japanese martial arts as well, swords, kenjutsu, yaijutsu, kendo, kubujutsu, which is an older form of judo. I did jujitsu for many years, and now I'm a black belt in Kempo, American Kempo. So that's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, I've been a passionate martial artist for whole my life. You know what? I started because I watched The Matrix as a young teenager. And The Matrix is the reason why I decided to go to film school and started martial arts.
No, it's a good lifestyle for people to leave. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu pretty
Nice.
much Monday through Friday. It's a good lifestyle to lead, of being healthy, and it's just it brings out. I don't think I'm my best person when I'm not training.
Confidence is definitely
3,
martial
4,
arts
5 days
definitely
a week.
builds confidence.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm going to the dojo maybe 5 times a week, and it's very important to me. It's a very important part of my life. And it's also, discipline, and it just feels good to push yourself, And I've seen also the transformation that martial arts had on many people around me who start martial arts. Even I'm thinking of somebody in my dojo that joined at a very advanced, age. I don't know how, I think he was like 60 or something. And now he's a brown belt, training, like almost going to, I think he's going to be a black belt sometimes this year, maybe next year. And seeing that transformation in him, I mean, it's possible for everybody to start martial arts and see how it can transform their life.
That's huge.
Can't disagree with that.
Yeah. And, Masters of Light is a game that you're going to go into thinking that you're going to play a game having fun, and you will have fun playing a game too. That part's absolutely true. But next thing you know, you're going to be working out. You're going to be sweating.
Oh, you're working out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, like
Especially
I said, it was, I thought it was going to be like this cushy, flowy experience. I didn't know it was, like I said, once that tutorial ended, I was like, damn, dude, we're really going for it.
Yeah.
And then I think the second level, it was like, are you kidding me? It's this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant.
That was actually a little bit of not a huge surprise. Obviously, we knew it was a very active game. But when we launched the game and we started seeing all of these reviews and feedback, and people were like saying, I'm breaking a sweat. This is super active. And it's funny because when you design the game and you know exactly which move to do when, and you're pretty good at the moves that you don't really need to put a lot of energy into them because you know the minimum efforts to make a move work, So we don't break sweats anymore when we play the game after 2 years working on it, and suddenly, even though we've done a lot of playtests, like every couple of months we had a playtest organized with a third-party company. It was very important to get feedback all alongside development of the game. But still, it was a big surprise to see people like, whoa, it's fitness. I was like, you did a fitness game? Like, we had no idea.
That's hilarious.
That's why I say it's hard to classify. Is like if you were to say label it one thing, if you label it one thing, you're going to mess up because someone's going to play it and be like, no, hell no, I just worked out for 40 minutes, You might go, okay, so it is a cross of many different games, to be honest.
Yeah, and you referenced some other people from the team. So how many people worked on Masters of Light? How big was the team?
I think it was because obviously not a lot of people worked all at the same time, full time, etc. It was, bits and pieces here and there. So I think overall it was maybe 30 people worked on the game, total, with maybe a core team of 5 to 10 working kind of full time for most of the production. So we were a medium sized game in the VR world, in a video game world, we're a very small game. But in VR, we kind of like medium low when it comes to size of team, etc. And everybody pretty much was in France. I'm the only one who's based in the US. Trying to think. But yeah, sound, programmation, devs, everybody was based in France. Yeah.
And how long did the project take from conception to here we are?
It was actually super short, considering what we did. A lot of people are very surprised, but between getting the financing in place and actually starting designing the game and making prototypes and stuff to the moment we launched the game this month, 10 days ago. Oh, that was, it feels like a lifetime since we launched the game. It was a year and a half. So
Wow,
we
okay.
made
That's
the
aggressive.
whole game in a year and a half. But knowing that before that we worked on Fightback, that other app using hand tracking. So we were not starting from scratch. We were actually, even though we rebuilt the code from the ground up because hand tracking needed to really be made better for the game, we still had that experience of working on Fightback together for, I think it was another year and a half before.
And is Fightback like a similar artwork and stuff like that? Or are they almost like not sequels, but
Yeah. It looks like it's taking place in the same universe. So the kind of like that whimsical, I don't know how to describe it, but celestial world, it's something that we designed for Fightback. Yes. So we continued building on it, but Fightback has only like 1 or 2 environments and we made a lot more in the game. So yeah, we started that look in Fightback. People were actually super pleased with it. We're very proud with what we achieved also with like it not looking like untethered VR game. Like, no, we didn't want low poly stuff, but we wanted a lot of particle effects, which is very tricky to do because it takes a lot of processing power, right? And the frame rate drops pretty drastically. So we had to invent a lot of new ways to make those particle systems work and still have 70 frames per second working on Quest 2. So all of that tech that we developed for Fightback, we continued using it on Masters of Light so it could run at 70 on both Quest 2 and Quest 3.
That's really cool. That makes a lot of sense
It's
too.
a
That's
very
why,
aggressive studio. I love it.
yeah. And how long would you say this experience is from start to finish? I know sometimes that's hard to say because
Man,
depends
you
on.
got to take breaks. There's
Yeah.
no way, man. There's no way.
But what would you say the length of this is?
Like an
Somebody
Olympian.
who, will kind of rush through it and is pretty good at doing the gesture and stuff can probably finish it in 3 hours. Like, I think I can finish it in 2.5 or something. But you definitely need to use an external battery if you want to play that long on Quest 3, And then if you want to replay the levels and get 3 stars, we have that star rating system. So if you want to get 3 stars, it's probably going to be a bit more like 4 hours or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
A 4-hour workout.
I know. It was funny. We finished the first level. The first thing out of your mouth was, "Damn it! I only got 2 stars."
Yep.
And
That's the easiest way to hook us to go back in.
what dictates the stars? Is it the speed that you clear the level?
Thank you for asking. We actually made a little video on our YouTube channel to explain the rating. And next time we do an update on the game, I will make it clearer. Also, I think it's important for people to understand. So 2 things. Number 1 thing is don't get hit, right? So every time you take a damage, you're going to lose a star. That's very much something I stole from Vader Immortal, the dojo mode, if you've played.
Yep.
So every time you get hit, you lose a star. And I thought it was awesome. So I stole that idea. And then you need to play fast enough. So it's 2 things. It's don't get hit and then be under a certain time so you get those 3 stars. And sometimes it's really hard to do if you don't have all of the powers unlocked. So I would just encourage people to if they can't get the 3 stars for level, just keep playing because you'll unlock new powers that will make you way more efficient at fighting the shadows. And it will be much, much easier to get those 3 stars when you have all the powers at your disposal.
That makes sense. Go through the game, learn everything, get good, unlock everything, then go back and
my attitude is always
chase.
if I did so good with what I have, or I
Mhm.
could pull it off, then think of how much more amazing you'll be with better stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I'll do it that way.
I love how you are. You're. It looks like you're a similar gamer as I am. Like I hate 2 stars. I need if I see I have 2 stars at the end of a level, like okay, I'm doing this. Like I'm not moving forward in this game unless I'm a ultimate completionist. And when we implemented the star system, and the first time I play tested it, I immediately had that like, oh, I didn't get 3 stars. I was like, yes, it works, you guys. The people who are like me, they will just keep playing until they get those 3 stars, and that's great because it multiplies the amount of time that you need to do to achieve, to finish the game and feel good about finishing the game. And we have a special trophy that you get if you have all 3 stars on all 36 levels in the game. So keep playing.
Because you're a gamer, you know the psychology of the gamer. Like give them something to achieve. It could be anything, a different color, something. And
leaderboards, stars.
Dude, come on. That's brilliant though. I love knowing that there's a trophy though. Because I just assumed it was just to get to 3 stars, but knowing that there's
a special trophy there for you. And actually there's a trophy that's extremely hard to get that I stole from The Last of Us, which is the trophy you get if you do the whole game without having one single game over. So just finish the game. You never have a game over, and then we have a special trophy for you.
Are you able to see if anybody's unlocked that yet, or is that not stuff that
I am, but I haven't checked today. But I am able. I think I checked last week, couple of days after we launched the game. I took a quick look, and nobody had it. So I'll have to keep an eye on it.
It's going to be exciting the day that hits one person.
I feel like you could be that person. Yeah.
I feel like that's not an easy task to do, especially as the game advances.
Nah, dude. Again, be so tired. I have to switch hands.
Are you allowed to do it in multiple sessions?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, the average play session, if I trust the number I'm seeing, is about, and it's actually very similar to normal numbers in VR. It's 20 to 30 minutes. So people play the game 20 to 30 minute chunks. That's about how people, and it's not just Masters of Light. That's the average that we're seeing across many types of games. That's why, games like mini golf, or maybe not mini golf, but Dungeon of Eternity, like a lot of those games are designed to have sessions of about 20 to 30 minutes. And then usually people like to take a break from VR. So yeah, no, you can do it as many chunks, as many weeks. I don't care. Just no game over. Can you imagine getting a game over on the last level of the game? That happens to me in The Last of Us. I played permadeath, and I died, I think 24 hours in the game, and I had to start from scratch to get the trophy. Yeah.
Did you get it though?
Yeah.
But see how many more hours of playtime you got out of that game by that little chase. That's awesome.
Dude, it's happened to me with games, and it's painful when it's towards the
end.
Yeah.
Demoralizing.
And you reference, next time there's an update. So my impression with Masters of Light was, boom, it's done. Not that there won't ever be, but like that there doesn't need to be new content.
Quality of life fixes.
Maybe that
updates on the headset.
That was my impression, but on the reality of things, what's the future plans of Masters of Light? Is there plans for more content, or in your mind, is it pretty much a finished product, like I kind of interpret it as?
Yeah, I mean, we released it finished, right? We are actually very proud of the debugging and quality assurance that we did, and we had very, very little feedback of bugs in the game. So, and it was important for us that people feel like they're playing a polished game. I totally respect people doing early access and this kind of stuff, but there is no such thing as early access. And VR, maybe App Lab would be the equivalent of early access, and then you bring the game to the main store, but that changed recently, so I don't know. But the goal for us was to have a finished, polished game that people will enjoy and feel like they're getting their money's worth. Now we would love to continue adding more content, new levels, new music. My dream would be to add a multiplayer mode to Masters of Light. I think it could be really fun to fight with your friend or against your friend. I mean, both could be fun. But the reality of the business of running a game studio is we will see if we get enough revenue from the game to justify it, or if we get extra financing to make this a reality. So right now it's just dreams, and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Well, I guess I'll dream with you because, man, to think of playing this co-op together, that sounds like so much fun.
Agreed. I imagine I even had ideas of like, when you get hit and you lose some, so maybe you can give some of your light to your friend so they would heal. You give some of your health points to your friend. I mean, I have a lot of ideas to make it really fun and cool. So fingers crossed.
Well, I'm going to be wicked selfish and be like, I hope it's super successful, which I would wish for any developer, but I want to see like other projects, because I think you have a very brilliant mind and I like the directions that you go. So it'd be cool to see what other projects might come out of this studio down the road, because I feel that everything's just going to get better and better. So I'm
That's very kind. Thank you so much.
No, and it is a fun experience. It's like no holds barred. I had fun. I felt like I burned some calories at the same time. And I could tell if I kept playing it over and over, like the same levels, I would get a little more smooth with my movements, be less so like panicky of like there's something there and then making decisions on, even though that's closer, it'd be better off to hit something that's more in a distance first than. So no, I just want to see you're also co-founder of the studio?
Correct. Yeah. It's a studio we started a couple of years ago, and Masters of Light is our first game.
And how is is this a studio made up of people that you've already known from past life experience or?
Past lives experience. My co-founder, Marie, we produced Fightback together. And before that, she had hired me on another of her VR projects to work on as a director of photography. So it was a 360 project. So we've known each other for many years. And the rest of the team is like people that we've met along the way and kind of like started growing. We decided to kind of bootstrap it. We didn't look, and we're still not looking for investors or VCs or anything like this, because it's very much our baby and we want to continue making games that we love, right? And we've seen a lot of studios, and oh my God, with what happened this year in the video game industry, with a lot of studios shutting down. It's very tough right now in the video game industry, as I'm sure you know. A lot of people getting fired, and the money has dried out, and publishers not really signing games. So I'm glad that we took the decision of staying small and trying to be sustainable and growing very, very slowly and just working from one project to the next. I respect different models, of course, but for us, our ambition is not to sell the studio. Our ambition is to continue making games that we love. So we're going to stay small, and it's fine. And yes, we don't have a lot of money and it's not always easy, but at least we're making only projects we love and we are in control of what we do. So that's the goal for the company.
And there's nothing. I mean, y'all put out a game in a year and a half,
Yeah,
so
that was
it's
nuts.
Like the numbers might be small, but the result of it is like double to triple that. So then there's nothing wrong with having full creative control over your business. I mean, I can't imagine someone being able to dictate owning a business like the direction they want you to go. And it's not lining up with your vision. So at least you have the ability to drive it in the direction you want to go.
Yeah. No. And we also we actually did look for publishers. There's not that many publishers doing VR. You might know of a few that are doing amazing work like End Dreams or Beyond Frames, Resolution Games. They really know the VR business and they're making good games. So we approached them. but because of the nature of Masters of Light, you say it yourself, it's really hard to define the game, right? So it doesn't really fit in a box that's easy to market. And so we just didn't have any success in getting a publisher. So we self-published, but looking back, I'm very happy with that decision just because, well, number one, we're keeping the revenue from the game and it's not the publisher. So that's nice. So that we can actually start working on the next game. But also we had to learn marketing. We had to learn how to make a trailer, how to contact streamers and influencers. And we knew nothing about this. And it was really interesting. Like, for example, working together with you when, you did the showcase, and we were super happy to be on the showcase. That was the first time we announced the game. So we've learned so much over the course of making that first game. And all of this knowledge is going to be so beneficial to the next project, right? We will be able to continue improving on this knowledge and reaching hopefully more and more people.
Well, I can't wait to see what else you guys all have cooking up there.
We'll forever be grateful for being on the showcase as well. It was a benefit to all parties involved, including the consumers.
I'll definitely have a soft spot for everyone that took a chance and
numerous times
participated.
A year one showcase, and people really stepped up and brought not bad. That was one of the things we said. If we do a showcase, we have to have quality stuff shown.
Mm-hmm.
This can't just be a grab anybody who wants to submit something, even though we opened it up to everybody. But it was nice to see the quality products come through. And man, looking back on it, that was a while ago.
Mm-hmm. That was a damn good trailer as well, too.
When
for
was that
time.
again?
February.
Yes,
but
correct. Yeah.
So, geez, goes quick.
Yep.
And, as much as I sit here and I go, oh, co-op in the game would be so good, and the multiplayer and, leaderboards, imagine like co-op leaderboards, and you're chasing that with your friend, how many times you would hop in the same level. But as much as I say that, like you said, there's a business side. It depends on,
money.
on the results of it. So without talking, the financial side, which, it's been out 10 days, I'm sure those things are delayed anyway. What's the reception been like from, reviews on the store or just, discussion in your Discord? What's the reception from players been so far?
Yeah, so we actually were very surprised by the volume of reviews that we got in the early days, and we tried to stay available and so we have a Discord with social media, and we try to talk to the people a lot. And because also we know, here's the thing with this game, it's hand tracking. I mean, you can play with controllers, it's fine, but it's designed for hand tracking. And we knew from our experience with Fightback that had a lot of issues with hand tracking that we solved, but still it's not, 100%, right? So I'm sure you had issues with certain gesture who would not respond the way you wanted them to respond. And so it was very important to us to be available and help people as much as we could so they don't get frustrated by the tech and lose the enjoyment of the game. So we made those little YouTube tutorials. So every gesture in the game, there's a little 1 minute video show you exactly the kind of what is the problems that might arise. Like, for example, shockwave, you make a triangle with your hands. But if you do it palm facing down like this, it won't work. So, but some people don't really get that from the tutorial. So it was important for us to talk to the people as much as we could. And the reception has been really good. We've been very pleased. We are not allowed to give any number. Meta doesn't allow it. I'm sure you guys know.
Mm-hmm.
All I can say is we have very high volume of wish lists, and that we were very excited about this. So if those wish lists convert into sales over the course of the next few months, then we shall be in a good place for the next game or making it multiplayer, etc. So fingers crossed so far.
No, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. I hope the studio crushes it, because it's a damn polished game, especially for the first official game.
What really sold me was the heavy emphasis on, yes, you can use a controller, right? But hand tracking. I didn't even think I thought to use a controller.
Oh no, we put that shit down right away.
Yeah, so hand tracking. I didn't know it was I honestly didn't know it was an option.
I saw that screen said best played hand tracking. I compared it to
right on the couch, yeah.
Like a chef coming out and saying, I suggest to order the food like this. I'm gonna go, okay, I'll get
take
that.
that.
I'll get the dish exactly how you said it.
Creators.
Yeah, they're saying best played hand tracking, and you know what? I don't think I would have the same immersion with the controllers. Like, it feels so good with the hand tracking. That's how the game should be played, for sure.
The number one thing that was not exactly problematic, but if you're doing hand tracking, you don't have haptics, right? And I love haptics. I think haptics is great when you're like using your controllers and you have this little vibration when you hit or whatever. And so it was a lot of work for us to try to trick your brain into feeling haptics. And that was mostly like VFX, of course, but also sound. So the way sometimes when you do the gesture, some people will say, oh, I feel electricity on my own. Like I feel something because the brain is kind of, you seeing stuff happen around your fists and you hearing stuff happen when you punch or you do the light ray, and your brain will trick you into thinking you felt something on your skin. But I cannot wait that there is some kind of system where you can have both hand tracking and haptics. But yeah, for now, I think most people play hand tracking. I haven't seen anybody say they play with controllers. Even though some people had issue with hand tracking, they kept going and they kept trying. So that's very rewarding for us.
Knock on wood. So far, I've had no problems with my gestures
or nothing.
And thinking back on like, especially shooting like the light ray, maybe I am envisioning haptics.
Yeah, I mean, it never even crossed my mind that there wasn't
obviously
haptics.
My hand is not vibrating, but I want it to be.
Yeah, because I was immersed.
You're in that. Exactly.
Didn't even cross my mind for a second.
You're in that mode. I even make sound effects sometimes too, even though there's sound effects. It's so stupid.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just get into it. So that's interesting.
That makes me happy. That's exactly what we wanted.
Yep, very interesting.
And like we said earlier, hopefully the game does do good because I want to see.
I want to feel electricity.
I want more updates to this game, but more importantly, like you said, I want to see what else could potentially be cooking. And you reference a lot of lessons learned, whether that's through marketing or game development, and what was the process like to self-publish your own game? I feel like that's one of the bigger.
That'd be a huge learning curve.
Yeah, between sorting out all the bugs and the QA and then the marketing. So what was that whole process like to not only make your first game, but for your first game to also be self-published?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was at first, me and my co-founder, Marie, were a bit overwhelmed because this is not what we do. Like, we don't do marketing. Like, we're not like on Instagram or I actually needed a young woman in my dojo. She's 16. I had to 2 months ago say, okay, teach me Instagram. Like I need Instagram because we're self-publishing this game and I've never used Instagram in my life. So please teach me. And it was hilarious. But you know what? After a couple of months of doing those things, I had to open a TikTok account. I was like, what is this? But now I'm getting the hang of it. And at the end of the day, there is nothing more rewarding to be in direct contact with the people who play your game, right? And so having that is now I can see the benefit it has on me as a game designer of being able to talk to the people directly on social media and seeing people play the game and how they talk about the game. So that was the number one thing. And we did a lot of research, just like going through all of the accounts, like looking at how other games are doing their marketing because we had very limited budget. We put all of the money in the production value of the game and making a good game. And so we had almost nothing left for marketing. So we had to bootstrap it a little bit. We used a company called Impact Reality that is really good in the VR space that help us with reaching out to influencers because it's not like you can just email people and be like, do you want to test my game? So we had some help from third-party companies. But yeah, now I feel way more confident for future game about this. Like it used to be a huge point of angst of like, I don't want to do this. It's horrible. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to waste any time on this kind of stuff. But now I'm like, okay, I think I understand. It feeds me as a creator. And now I'm actually quite excited to doing it for future game. And we'll probably start doing this much earlier that we have a small but growing community of people who enjoy Masters of Light. So now we can continue working on building up that community of people who like the style of games that we're offering.
Oh, shout out to the Impact crew. We got a good relationship with, Skiva and Jasmine and stuff like that. And I'm excited, to see potentially what else you have cooking. And let's say in a perfect world, just a fantasy world, it crushes it. Boom. New project. Do you already have games in your mind that you would like to make? Like kind of some potential ideas?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we have a game that's written that we are pitching. And yes, it was going to be hand tracking because we know how to do this. It's going to be something else that I'm not going to say. And it's going to be a whole new genre that I'm very excited about. And I'll make sure you guys know first what it's going to be once we can talk about it.
No, fair enough. I love that everything you're doing is stuff that's not typical of like one specific genre, or now you're going to do something else that probably won't be able to be easily classified in its. So you're creating stuff. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, like we referenced at the start, hand tracking has developed so much in the past few years.
Dude, I haven't had any problems.
So during the development of the game, did you have updates to hand tracking coming out on the meta side? Like, did you see improvements of it?
Yeah, something called FMN. So that is an update that happens. It was right after the last Meta Connect. So I think November last year. Huge update to hand tracking that suddenly you were able to do fast movement much better. Originally, hand tracking, I don't know if you guys been playing hand tracking before, but if you do fast moves, it would really mess with the hand tracking. And that's a huge problem when you're reading a fight game, So we had to design the fight so they would be much lower intensity and the gesture would be slower. And then suddenly you have that new update that it makes it 1,000 times better. And we were suddenly able to design levels in a whole new way that is way more frenzy, crazy stuff that you guys have seen in the game that we couldn't do just a year ago with where hand tracking was. So, and also Meta did a good job at building out, it's called a presence platform. So it's an SDK that has voice recognition, that has hand tracking, a few different things. And it's, they make it very easy, kind of plug and play of how to use, for example, the touch interaction, how you navigate the menu by touching them and pushing them, etc. Like all of those things have been made much easier and accessible and faster to develop by the latest Meta Presence platform. So it's making it a little bit tricky for us to port to other VR headset, but it was still a massive help. So we're very happy to see how it's going to continue. Hand tracking is not going away. I mean, maybe a couple of years ago, I'd been like, I don't know. I played Elixir, the very first VR experience with hand tracking. That was awesome. But I was like, I'm not quite sure where this is going because people play games and they need their buttons. I'm a PlayStation, console, Xbox gamer. I need my buttons and triggers and stuff. But then now I can say I feel fairly confident that we can design inputs and controls that are compatible with hand tracking and feel natural and feel good, that you don't need all of those buttons to play a game. Maybe not every game, but a lot of games can be designed to be perfectly fine with hand tracking. And I don't see this technology going away. I see it continue to more platform, PlayStation, maybe hopefully one day PlayStation VR will be hand tracking. I don't know. But I can see it continue to improve and getting better and better.
And how many headsets are you bringing this to? You going to try to bring it to all of them?
We hope, but at the moment it's only Quest 2, Quest 3, Quest Pro. And we'll see down the line. We're really hoping to bring it to PC VR, Steam. We're hoping to bring it to PlayStation. We're hoping to bring it to Pico as well. But at the moment it's only Quest. And it's actually from a real business standpoint because we are in a niche economy, right? Very small niche. And at the end of the day, the most used VR headset out there is definitely the Meta Quest 2 and 3 headsets. So it just, as a small studio making small games with low budget, that's the platforms that we need to put forth. But 100% hope that we'll be able to port it to more headset maybe this year or maybe next year.
Okay. That's good news for the other headsets.
Yeah.
PC VR for sure.
But we're standalone VR as well too, and I think
we're
that
not
speaks
upset about this.
statements to what you said. That's where a vast
That's where the majority are.
That's where the market is to be. That's where the profit is if we're going to be.
You don't have
honest.
to go to it, but you don't have to make money either.
Correct.
Yep.
You just go into it knowing that if that's the decision you make.
Correct.
All right. And then, do you have any tips for new players going into Masters of Light?
Sure thing. So first of all, it's very physical, active game, as you mentioned. So stretch, be ready to sweat, for sure. If there's any issue with hand tracking, I would really suggest to go check out our YouTube channel. Has lots of little clips and videos to help you make it a better experience. Best practices for hand tracking, first and foremost, of like how to play in a good environment that has enough light, enough contrast between your hands and the background. So yeah, if you have any issue with one of the gesture, come talk to us or go check out the YouTube videos, and hopefully you'll have a good experience. And yeah, we're here and we're available to talk. So come see us.
I love the idea of the YouTube tutorials. That's a good reference point for
if you
people.
don't need them, you don't. But if you're searching, you'll find it, and that's important.
That's awesome.
Although again, I have not had, knock on wood, any issues thus far. Although I have been in VR games where it clearly tells you what to do with your hands, and I'm doing something wrong. And then when you figure it out, you're like, well, they literally told me, and it's just my interpretation of not getting it right. So I would just nowadays, if they tell me to do something and it doesn't work, I'm going to keep trying it at different, because they're not lying to me, right?
No, good stuff.
Designing the tutorials of the game was very challenging, and is how do you teach a gesture to someone? And I mean, for you who do martial arts as well, like having that experience of being a martial artist really helped design the tutorials of showing, testing, doing it again, re-showing a second time, and making sure people get it in the least amount of time and least painful way of because we don't want those negative feeling of feeling bad about yourself because you're not doing it right. And if you're not doing it right, it's not your fault. It's the fault of me, of my tutorials and my game. So we try to reduce that friction to a minimum.
No, I think that tutorial did a great job explaining everything.
Yeah.
The only thing was, then when the
Starting
real game started, I was like, holy shit, this is a lot more intense.
It's a very soft approach to what the game is.
But it taught me the game very well.
It now I'm going to ace right through this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not the case.
It definitely taught me what to do, though. That I can't.
Oh yeah, you didn't go in blind.
No, it was a good tutorial, and I love the scenery. I love the artwork in it. I love the sound score. So huge props.
The vibe.
Yeah, huge props to the whole team from conception. From idea to execution, the way it all looks, the way it all feels, it's a really good project. So I really hope people check out Masters of Light, and we get to see more from Coven, whether that's updates, new games. I hope the future.
I was curious of how you all came to the name of the studio.
Oh, Coven. Well, it's an assembly of witches and warlocks, right? A coven. Mostly witches. That's the idea behind it, because there's 2 women started that studio, and we felt like we were making magic because we love VR, and when you make VR, it feels like making magic happen. So that felt like a good name for the studio. But I must say that we are very keen to having diverse teams, and we've tried our best in Masters of Light to have a lot of different people with different backgrounds come and work on the game, because I truly believe games and movies and any kind of project are better when they're fed with people with different life stories, right? And experience of life. But we are very much open to anyone. So everybody is welcome in the Coven.
I I kind of loaded the question because I made the assumption early on when I heard the studio name. I go, I wonder if this is a woman-owned studio, and it starts at the top. Yeah, and it makes total sense, especially with the studio name. Although warlocks, yes, I get it, but at the end of the day, you're going to think more witches than warlocks with the name. So no, that's great to know. Also, years ago, over 3 years ago, when we started the podcast, we were searching high and low for like women who were in the VR industry, and it was a struggle. You were in so many social groups, people trying to hook us up, and it didn't seem as active as it's becoming, because since then, in the past 3 years, we've talked to like some absolute OGs in the industry, and now come to find out you're one as well. Everyone's seen your work too, as well as, Transformers and stuff. Come on.
So no, I'm excited for what the future has. Like I said, both with this game, but also for potential projects. I think it's going to crush. I think it's going to do very well. Grows. So we're stealing Celine here very late in her day difference, too. Yes. Yeah, just a bit. So it's pretty late where she is. So we can wrap it up. But before we do you have anything else you want to ask, Celine?
No, I love leaving with a notepad full of notes, and I'm going to put the studio as a whole on my radar as a must watch, because you're talking about some pretty powerful different industries that seem to be at play here, with the ability to do, and definitely want to, damn, we could have talked the whole time. I'm not going to lie.
Just about that film?
About your film and that whole experience.
We had to force ourselves away from it.
And
Let's talk about the game.
Yeah, 100%. But I'm definitely going to check that out. I put that on my list of like, I got to see it. And I don't know. This is going to be a huge, I think your studio is going to do great. I think the experience you put out is, thus far for me, been fun. I'm probably losing some weight at the same time, which doesn't hurt. Work the cardio, but I'm not sore. Just get a little tired with the blood flow to the arms from.
Yeah, and I love the innovation, the innovative use of hand tracking. It's one of the
doing something different. Yeah, not something that's just rinse and wash and repeat.
When we first started with hand tracking, the concept of being able to punch with it was, impossible. This game will have you thinking like, man, could we see like a boxing game like through all the fight in hand tracking? It's hit that point. It feels polished. So huge props to all of you. And, before we wrap it up, Celine, is there anything you want to say to the listeners or the players who've been enjoying Masters of Light?
No, I very much appreciate the spotlight. We need it. And please play the game, enjoy, have fun. And thank you for supporting also young studios making their first games. It means a lot to us. So thank you, guys.
Well, I have faith in future projects with the name attached to it.
Love the name.
Yeah. So to the listeners, if you haven't checked it out yet, you enjoy hand tracking, you enjoy, fitness, but also unique, innovative games, go check out Masters of Light on the MetaQuest. Go support an indie studio with their first game.
Leave a good review.
I was going to say, and most importantly, if you play it, you enjoy it, drop a nice 5-star review on the MetaQuest store. That helps so much. And other than that, to the listeners, if you've enjoyed this episode, as well to us, drop us a 5-star review on whatever
doesn't hurt.
Podcast platform you listen to.
We don't charge for that.
Check out our Discord server, and we'll be back with you all next week.
Take care.
Ciao, ciao.